30th, 2003, my dad sat my brother and I down and told us that Mom has died. I was only 6 years old. My brother was only 3 years old. I used to look at all the girls in elementary school and how their hair was always done so pretty, or how they would always be talking about going on shopping trips with their mom, and I would feel a pang of sadness. However, I'm very grateful for my dad for raising 2 kids on his own. The feeling of growing up without a mother is something I would never wish on my worst enemy. That is why I chose my topic, how the death of a parent impacts a child, and a look at depression in children. What is grief? According to the Webster Dictionary, grief is a deep sadness caused especially by someone's death. When people think of grief and depression, they don't usually think of children. But grief can last a lot longer for children and can carry on into adulthood. The death of a parent can also cause developmental issues for the child as well. There are 5 stages of grief. The first stage is isolation and denial. Denial is when a person claims something to be untrue when it is true. In this stage, people feel alone and like nobody understands what they are going through. They tend to shut the world out because it makes them feel like everything's going to be okay. And this stage is a defense mechanism designed to help them survive the first few weeks of grief. The second stage is anger. A person tends to be angry at a doctor, themselves, or at the person who has passed away. Anger is a very familiar emotion, which is why a lot of people feel it, because it helps them deal with it in a familiar way. And the third stage is bargaining, and this can happen before or after a death. Before a death, it tends to be a lot of prayers, and I promise to if you just let this person survive. And after, it's a lot of what ifs. And the fourth stage is depression, which I will get into later in my presentation. And the fifth stage is acceptance. There's a lot of misinformation about acceptance. People tend to think that a person is finally okay with a death, but in reality, nobody is ever really okay. Depression in children. Depression can last for a few months or last years, and it can come and go or go away completely. 2.5% of the children in the United States of America are suffering from depression. Depression is more common in boys under the age of 10 and for girls over the age of 16. Some symptoms include vocal outbursts, sleep pattern changes, thoughts of death or suicide, loss of appetite or weight change, loss of energy, reckless behavior, and loss of daily activities. There are 2 types of depression. The first type is reaction. This is where a person tends to worry about the cost of the funeral and burial, and that they aren't spending enough time with their loved ones. The second type is private. This is usually when a person keeps to themselves and has quiet meditation and isn't really vocal about their suffering. Different ages react to grief in different ways. But something they all have in common is what is called a great disturbance. A great disturbance includes loss of sleep, stomach upset, sleep pattern changes, and depression and anxiety. 0 to 2-year-olds can sense a loss from their caretaker. 2 to 6-year-olds have no understanding of death or what is happening, or very little understanding. They usually probably only understand that that person is now gone. And 6 to 9-year-olds tend to personify death, and they usually think that something or someone like a monster took their parent away. 9 to 12-year-olds develop an interest in what causes death, so they look more into why sudden death happens or naturally caused death. And teenagers usually has them thinking deeper about their own life and what life really means. There are many resources out there to help grieving children. One of those resources is Comfort Zone Camp. They are a nonprofit camp to help grieving children. They are in 4 states: Virginia, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and California. They are free, but they do provide travel scholarships. They are for children between ages 7 and 17 years old. Comfort Camp was founded in 1998 in Richmond, Virginia, by Lynn Hughes. The camp was born out of a desire to provide a caring community and safe haven in which children who are grieving the loss of a parent, sibling, or primary caregiver are heard, understood, and are taught healthy ways to process their grief. Their mission is to provide grieving children with a voice, a place, and a community in which to heal, grow, and lead more fulfilling lives. They envision a world where grieving children are not forgotten about or left to grieve alone and are supported by a wide community of people. They believe that by providing children with an ongoing, strong support network, that they are helping the child reach their full potential. What I got out of the project is a lot of self-discovery. This project has enlightened me on the many different ways people grieve and how they grieve. And when I look back onto my childhood, it's very easy for me to say, yeah, I showed signs of this, or I didn't show signs of that. I can already tell that this project is going to help me on later in life. After I graduate from Bozeman High, I would like to take a gap year and then go to Texas Christian University and study child development. And after 4 years of that, I would like to be a nanny. And if I ever encounter a child who has suffered through grief or loss, I will know how to help them and ways to help them. It has also given me much more respect for those who are suffering from depression, but keep going by day, getting through it one step at a time.
Thank you. Question for Megan.
Megan, what was the most significant thing personally, if you want to share, that helped you understand more about you growing up?
I didn't know all the symptoms of depression, and I was never diagnosed with depression. I was diagnosed with anxiety, but looking back, I definitely showed signs of some of those symptoms, and that was just really big for me, and that I could recognize that for me.
What did you feel was the most helpful for you in that journey of grief as you grew up?
Growing up, it was the people around me. I knew that they cared about me and wanted me to succeed, and my dad's a huge part of it. I don't think that without my dad's support, I'd be anything here, and he's done this, being a single parent for like 11 years now, and I just respect him so much for doing it on his own and being able to provide a house over our heads and food on the table.
Thank you.